A list is an object in Python that stores multiple data items sequentially. Lists are dynamic data structures, meaning they can be modified. You can add, remove, or replace contents from a list. Lists, as you will see shortly, will allow you to do many cool things. Alright, first of all, let me show you the syntax for creating lists. You create a list variable by starting with an opening square bracket followed by the list of elements separated by commas and a closing square bracket. Here I have created a list of even numbers from 2 to 10, and all the elements in the list are of same data type. You can also create a list with elements that are of different data types like this one. In any case, lists store these elements sequentially. Python lists use zero indexing. The first element from this list can be accessed this way. You write list variable name followed by square brackets that enclose the index of the element. If I like to access the third element from the list, I would do it this way. As lists can be arbitrarily large, like this one, accessing the last element of the list may require that you know the actual length of the list. You can get the length of the list using len function. Now that I know the length, I can access the last element of the list this way. This seems a bit tedious, right? To make your life easy, Python uses negative indexing as well. If you like to access the last element of the list, you can access it using the index -1. Can you guess what element index -2 would access? You may have guessed it right. It accesses the element that comes right before the last element, and so on and so forth. If you try accessing elements from invalid indexes, Python would throw an index error exception. You have been using range function in for loops, right? If you like to create a list of elements using range function, you can do it this way. By writing list of range of values, you will create a Python list with those elements. Now let me show you a couple of cool features of lists. If you use addition operator on lists, it would concatenate the lists together, meaning it will combine both the lists into a single list. If you use multiplication operator on a list, Python would actually repeat the list those many times. If I wanted to create a list with elements 1, 2, 3 repeating 5 times, I would do it this way. Lists are mutable, meaning you can change the elements in the list. Let's see what would happen if I assign second element of this list with 100. There you go. The second element of the list has been replaced with the value 100. Alright, let me show you how you can slice the lists. A slicing expression selects a range of elements from the list. Let's say I gave you a list and asked you to retrieve first 5 elements. You would do it efficiently using a colon operator this way. Just like the range function, the start index is inclusive and the end index is exclusive. If you do not include the start index, Python would assume that to be 0. If you give a start index and not the end index, all the elements from start index till the end of the list will be considered. You can also include step size this way. This would access the first, third, fifth elements from the list. And this would access the second, fourth, and sixth elements from the list. I've introduced you to the negative indexing in lists few moments ago. Negative indexing can be used while slicing the lists as well. The index -3 points to this location. So all the elements to the right of this will be considered. In this line of code, all the elements from index 0 up to -3 are considered. Slicing can get tricky if you use negative indexing. You would need full understanding of how it works to be able to interpret what is going on here with these two lines of code. I'll let you pause here and take a deeper look at all the lines of code and make sure you understand why it is displaying the respective output. Lists have numerous built-in methods that are very useful. Here are the list of methods I'll be discussing right now. Append method is straightforward. It appends the element to the end of the list. Index method is tricky. It gives you the first index of the element you ask for. It would return a value error if the element is not in the list. Insert method is very intuitive as well. It inserts the element at the index provided. If you provide an index that is invalid, this method would not throw an error. Instead, it would give you the benefit of doubt and attach the element either at the beginning of the list or at the end of the list. Sort method, like the name suggests, sorts the elements of the list in ascending order. Remove method is tricky. It removes only the first occurrence of the element. If there is no element in the list, it would throw a value error. Reverse method reverses the order of the elements in the list. If you like to delete a specific element at an index, you can do it by using del this way. I know I have introduced many features of lists in Python, but you may have noticed that they are very intuitive. I also hope you're taking notes for further reference. Alright, let me end this lecture with min and max functions on lists. You can get the minimum value of a list using min function and maximum value using max function.